There aren't many gardens like this. We have sort of specialty garden areas throughout the whole 5 acres of grounds. We've got sparkling fountains, we've got water features at the back, gazebos, rose arbors. So come on into my backyard. Just like to point out these containers that we did in early spring. This is the way we get a jump on spring. We've had these planted up since about April 15th. Now that's not the last frost-free date in this area, but we're pretty much assured that any kind of cold weather we're going to get is just going to be maybe 1 or 2 degrees below zero. So pansies and phormiums are both hardy. If you come closer, I'd like you to show the beautiful color combinations in this phormium. It's got these sort of bronzy colored leaves with pink and almost yellow. And we planted that with pansies. So this gives us our early with these nice little turrets that jut out over the lower terrace. And this is part of my garden. When you look down here, you get a feel for the sort of the layout of the garden. This is probably one of my favorite plants in the garden, and I can guarantee you that if I had potted plants here ready to sell, I would sell them out in no time. As soon as people see the sort of peachy pink color of this Iris Beverly Sills, they just fall in love with it. Beverly Sills, the famous opera singer. We have 2 types of iris in the garden. There's this one, and then the Siberian iris you see at the front of the castle. But these are really the showstoppers with their large petals and the bearded falls that they have. An amazing color. Let's go see the other iris.
Blue iris.
This is the other iris that I'm really fond of in the garden. It's an iris called Deep Pacific Blue. I like the way it shows off against the sort of lime green of this Alchemilla mollis. Some of the perennials actually get to be 8 or 10 feet tall. But of course, when you have such a tall, magnificent building as your backdrop, you have to have plants that are statuesque, huge, not just small little perennials. One of the oldest trees on the property, this beautiful Camperdown elm. I find it interesting at this time of year that certain color schemes predominate in the garden, and you get to notice these things over the years. At this time there's a lot of blues, purples, a little bit of pinks and reds mixed with white, and this area really is characteristic of a lot of the plants that are blooming at this time of year. It's not until later in the season that you start to get into the yellows and oranges and sort of bright reds, which are stronger colors, and they tend to bloom later in the season. And I've often wondered why that is. Maybe it's because the plants which bloom later in the season have more competitors, so therefore they have to be more vibrant, more colorful to attract pollinators or something to that effect. I'm not sure. But at this time of year, very few yellows and oranges appear naturally in the garden. It's a beautiful rose, and when you first see it opening up, it's just a very simple rose, but then the beauty of it is really all the stamens and their anthers, the red stamens and the gold anthers. Beautiful. And then it's the fragrance. It smells like honey. Beautiful rose. This has a microclimate because it's on a south-facing slope and it's protected on either side. It's we call the rhododendron dell, and it's probably an old stream bed that came down the side of the hill. So as we proceed down, you can see some of our azaleas just finishing blooming. Some are just opening up. You can see here the Kalmia, another type of acid-loving plant native to the southeast United States, but hardy in this part of Toronto. I know what question you're going to ask me. You're going to ask me, how many different types of plants do I have in the garden, right? Yeah, because everybody asks that question. It's the most commonly asked question. And you know, I can't really answer that because I don't have an actual detailed list of every plant that's growing in the garden. We're not a botanical garden and we don't keep records to that extent. But I know in roses alone we have over 150 different species of roses. Trees or shrubs, probably 50 or 60. Trees and different plants, like herbaceous plants, there's probably 300 or 400 different species in the garden. So come on out and enjoy.